a little boy, Tim Mann.
Many of us have obstacles to overcome. Some of us persevere through those obstacles, while others just let them want them to go away. And those who have achieved great things have overcome those obstacles. Whether it was a weakness they had to overcome, whether it was some financial crisis they had to overcome, or maybe it was a disability, or maybe they rose out of poverty. Now, Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. I'd like to tell you a story. And the story is of a little boy. And this little boy was very shy. And he had a problem in school. He couldn't read very well. And he couldn't spell very well. And he couldn't write very well. And when he had to read in front of a class, his face would turn red. And his throat would get tight. And he'd concave himself in. And in the 3rd grade, the teacher told him, "You're going to be a problem because you can't read very well. You're going to be at the bottom of the class." And every time he went into the spelling bee, he was the first one out. In the 7th grade, he gave his mother a report card, and she takes a look at it. And she looks at it. And there's a D in spelling and a D in English. And she starts screaming at him, "How could you do this to me? Why is this happening? This can't be happening." And the little boy is ashamed because he wants to please his mother. So that day, he decided to work on his spelling in English. So he spent hours and hours in his room learning how to memorize how to spell words, because phonetically he couldn't pick it up. So he took one step at a time. In the 2nd quarter of 7th grade, he got a C in English and a C in spelling, developing his confidence. Then in the 3rd quarter, he got a C in spelling, a B in spelling, and a B in English. And then his final quarter, in the year, he gets an A in spelling, but he could only achieve a B in English because the teacher said, "How can you go from a D to A? It's subjective." He overcame that obstacle, but he had another one to overcome. He had to take an entrance exam to a college prep high school. Again, he had a 3rd grade voice in the back of his head. And he barely squeaks in with one of the lowest scores for that year. He makes it into high school. Again, he still has that problem. His face turns red when he reads. He chokes. And he's in his Spanish 2 class, his sophomore year. And he has to read in front of the class. The year before, all he had to do was memorize words and translate it from English to Spanish. Now he has to read. He can barely read English. How's he going to read Spanish? The pain is so great that he decides, maybe the grass is greener on the other side. How many of us have done that before? He decides to quit the private school and wants to go to public school because he thought it might be easier. He tells his mother. His mother's very upset with him. She enrolls him anyways. He finds out the grass is not greener on the other side. He's too shy to make new friends. He has the same things he has to overcome in the Spanish 2 class at the public school. He starts ditching school. And then one day, he decides to quit. Run away from home, writes his parents a letter. Goes to his neighbor's work, where he worked the prior summer. His neighbor brings him back that same day to his house. He's now grounded for 2 weeks and has to finish out the semester there. But during that time, he'd go in the library. He's too shy to make new friends. He'd go to the library every day and read about great leaders and great athletes who overcame all the obstacles. And the first time he comprehended what he would read and enjoyed reading. When he made it back into the private school. But now he has another obstacle to overcome. He has to take the SAT score to college. Takes it the first time, still having that voice in the back of his head. He's going to be at the bottom of the class. Fails it miserably. Takes it a second time, his senior year. Fails it again. Winds up in a junior college. and takes his first public speaking class and actually enjoys it. The red face is gone. He's speaking out. Well, he makes it to the university. He decides to take a creative writing class and overcome that obstacle of writing. And spends hours and hours and hours in his room painfully learning how to write. And he writes with flow and creativity for the first time, enjoys writing. Well, it's his senior year at the university, last class. He has to give a speech in front of the class. He writes this brilliant speech and delivers it, seizes the moment that day. Poise, confidence is coming out of him. He's feeling great and delivers this brilliant speech. And the teacher that day told him at the end of the class, that was the best speech I've ever heard from any college student. Developed this little boy's confidence as a college student. Well, today, this little boy is a man. And this man speaks in public regularly. And he loves to speak. He wrote his first book with some top authors in the world. And he loves to speak and tell people to overcome their weaknesses and make them strengths. Take their strengths and make them even stronger. And take on your obstacles, because the light will be at the end of the tunnel. He has spell check, because he thinks that's the greatest invention ever invented. And when he types stuff into Google, it says, "Do you mean this?" He still bumbles along when he speaks, but that's okay. He can see the light at the end of the tunnel. So who is this little boy who overcame these obstacles? Well, it's the little boy in me. Can I tell you?